Welcome back, everybody, to the Good Success Podcast. My name is Tom Olson, and today I've got a special guest, Bob Lachance, and he's from Connecticut. Right, Bob?
Yes, I am.
How are things in Connecticut today?
Actually, you know what? Things are starting to open up, so it's actually really good. It's sunny out there today, but even when it's raining, I think it's sunny. So it's actually really, really nice out.
Well, and it's really interesting today because, we're talking to Bob, and he's got business all over the United States, but he actually works with a lot of people from different countries. So he's even traveling back and forth in different countries. I'd love to hear, a little bit about that story and a little bit about what you guys do. But what REVA Global does is really help a lot of real estate entrepreneurs. They help train and kind of manage VAs, virtual assistants for people. And I know we've used them throughout the years. And Bob's just a brilliant guy. I can't wait to be able to talk to him today. So thank you so much, Bob, for being on the podcast today.
Hey, appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Awesome. So, I do want to remind everybody about the Community Go-Giver event. And I know this year's been one of those weird years. Normally our Community Go-Giver event is in June. It should be coming up like next week, but we decided to push it off to September just to kind of give more people an opportunity to be able to come see what we're doing in Gary, to make Gary great again, to flip the city of Gary, Indiana. And we are doing it one house at a time. And if I could express the numbers and the things that we're doing and the way that the city has been changing over the last 3 years, it just really excites me. So I'm really excited about showing people how you can use real estate to have a positive impact on your community, and how at the end of the day, sometimes if we lose money on a property, or sometimes if everything doesn't go quite perfect, you can still be a winner if you have the right purpose. And if your purpose isn't all about making money, there's many of those houses that you might do that just helps the neighborhood or just helps, the next person down the line. And we talk about that quite a bit. And really, like, my purpose in life is to give away $1 billion and to flip the city of Gary, Indiana. So if you guys are interested in the Community Go-Giver event, you can go to communitygogiver.com and get your tickets there. September 17th, 18th, and 19th, we have a bus tour here. We're doing a charity auction during that event. And I'm going to have many Community Go-Givers. We're going to have Community Go-Giver spotlights throughout the event, where I give local community charities a chance to come up on the front of the screen or in front of the stage and be like, hey, this is what we're doing. And I'm going to donate 100% of all of the proceeds. 100% of all ticket sales are going to go to those Community Go-Givers that are actually doing it, that are actually making those communities better. So if you want to be a part of something amazing and awesome like that, communitygogiver.com would be your opportunity to be that. Also, I want to remind somebody about a book that I wrote, Investors versus Contractors. I know a lot of people have problems with contractors if you're investors. And if you're a contractor, you might think to yourself, I don't want to work for investors. But I'm going to tell you, investors can be your absolute best friend. They can teach you how to get into real estate, but they can also give you consistent work. And that book really kind of gives the upfront expectation that a contractor should have for an investor, and an investor should have for a contractor. I also wrote this book, The Active Turnkey, The Best Way to Buy Rentals. And then I also have the 30 Days to Good Success Journey. And this is a 160-page workbook that really kind of gives you, it asks you the tough questions that nobody else is asking you. And if you've never given yourself a life plan and not just a business plan, this would be a great place to start. So in 30 days, I kind of believe that you can kind of put yourself in a position to know, what are the talents that God's given me? How can I use what I've been given to make a better impact on this world? And that's what we're going over there. So also the mastermind's coming up. The next mastermind is in August, and we were talking about how to build and scale your business. It's going to be called the Good Success Business Builders Boot Camp. And we are going to be talking about how do you set up your structures properly? How do you scale? How do you hire properly? And it's going to be a great boot camp, and then mastermind right after that for the next 2 days. So if you guys are interested in that, goodsuccess.com, and we can get you there. So today's guest, Bob, thank you so much for being on. Like I said, I've known you, I've met you several times, and always been a pleasant conversation. Brilliant guy in Connecticut, has different places all around the country, and really, like, most of his business is actually out of the country. But I'd love to hear a lot of the actual business part of what you're doing as well. And I know that you want to talk about the VAs and how they can help everybody. But for me, I'm always looking at that, how did you figure that out from a business perspective as well? But let's just start with, Bob, who you are, what you do, and, maybe how you got started.
Sure, absolutely. So I'll keep this a little quicker than usual, if you don't mind. But I started real estate investing back in 2004. And I know you know a lot about my story, so I'll let everyone else know. Prior to that, I played professional hockey for 8 years. So I was in a couple different countries as well. I played hockey, started here 4 years here in the United States, and I played in Italy, Switzerland for 2 years, and then Germany. So travel a lot. And then my wife was pregnant here for my first child. I have 3 kids right now, 16, 12, and 10. And I had to decide, hey, either I'm going to take my family, move them over to Europe and, try to keep going and making okay money, or am I going to hang up the skates and get a real job? So I figured, I'd rather not have to rip my family out here from the United States and bring them over to Europe. So I decided I hung up my skates and I had to look at an industry to get into. I went to school at the Boston University for 4 years, and I left a little bit early before I got my degree. So it was either go back to school and get my degree or jump into an industry that didn't need any sort of qualifications to get into. So I started reading a lot of books on different industries, and real estate kept coming up. So I decided, I don't want to go back to school. Let's jump into real estate. So 2004, jumped into real estate. And how I first got started, actually, I bought a course. This is before, obviously, everything was on the internet with YouTube and all the incredible videos out here, the incredible masterminds like yours, right? This is prior to that. So I bought a course about that big, if anyone could see me. It was a gigantic course, right?
Nice.
All about real estate, but not specifically about anything, but it's just a general overview. But one thing I did learn is I learned how to farm neighborhoods. I never knew what that meant. What that means is getting in your car, driving around neighborhoods and looking for any type of property that's distressed. So
they call that driving for dollars now.
Driving for dollars now, yeah. So but what I did was that I would call, even if they're listed, I would call the listing agent and just see exactly what the deal was with the property. So I saw this one property on Whitney Lane here in West Hartford. I asked the agent to get in. They let me in, and I opened the door, and a big smell of cat pee. Poof, knocked me over. And I remember in that book, How to Get Rid of Cat Pee, where no one else would actually touch it. I figured out, all right, might as well put an offer. Property was listed for $175. I put an offer in for $135. I know a lot of people, say, they're going to say no, or, I'm afraid to make an offer that low. So I said, screw it. Why not? So I put an offer and they accepted it. And I went home and my wife was like, oh, so what's going on? I'm like, they accepted an offer, but I have no idea what to do. I came from the hockey rink, literally in a hockey locker room for all of my life. Now, all of a sudden, I'm a real estate investor. I had no contractors. I had, limited money because I couldn't purchase in cash yet. And I ended up making it work. Found contractors, found money, financed it, ended up making 32 grand on the first deal. But I also realized I knew nothing. I didn't know. I had no systems. I had no marketing, because as we know, we're only as good as our marketing and the leads that we generate. So it took me about 2 months, and then I joined my local REVA group, and I saw a speaker speak on pre-foreclosures. This is back in 2004. And so I got hooked. And then the next event within is Connecticut Real Estate Association. Next event, I asked every single person in that association who the best short sale investor was in Connecticut. And everyone pointed the same guy. His name was Pat Precourt. I think you know Pat.
Yep.
So I went up to him. I said, hey, Pat, I don't know if you're looking to add anyone on your team, but I'm looking for anything. You don't have to pay me a dime. I'll earn my own keep. So he goes, you know what? We're actually looking for a door knocker. And I'm like, all right, what's door knocking? So he gave me a script, and he gave me a list of pre-foreclosure people to knock doors on. So every single day for a year, I knocked on from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. every single Monday through Friday. I would knock on doors. So that's how I got my start. And then once I gained some success, I then took myself out of, first of all, what I did is I created processes and systems for door knocking, pulled myself out, hired someone to put in my place, and then now I was negotiating with banks. So From that time, we probably negotiated, 700-800 short sale transactions, and started a loss mitigation company to negotiate short sales for other investors and also agents, and ourselves. And then also helped start 2 coaching programs. So we were the back end coaching program, Pat and I, for a long time. And then through that time, as we're flipping properties and also working with coaching students, we realized that time was a big factor, right? We didn't have enough time, and a lot of the individuals that we worked with did the same issue. Either they were working part-time or full-time, or they're, just incredibly busy as a full-time real estate investor. They needed help either to scale, they needed help either to get more efficient, or they needed help, for getting their time back. So through that time, I'm like, I need to find that answer, right? Because I'm always looking to help different people on either it's mentoring, coaching, or finding systems or what their pain point is in their business. And then in 2013, I got introduced to what a virtual assistant was. I had no idea what a virtual assistant was. So I hired my first one in 2013, and then a light bulb went on. With all my background of helping create coaching programs and trainings and systems, I figured, you know what, why don't we marry those 2 together? Right? So find virtual assistants, but train them on real estate investing tasks. So that's what I did in 2014. I launched my first company, tested it for 2 years to make sure the proof of concept worked. And we, not only myself and my own business, but other investors needed that service. So through 2014 to now, we work with agents, investors, property managers, buy and hold investors, and we also branched off to the medical division. So I know that's long-winded. I do apologize, but I just want to make sure I covered every step of the way for you.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate the story. And, I remembered that you were a hockey player after you said that, but I had kind of forgotten about that for a while. But that's definitely a completely different career path, right? You kind of get beat up every day on the skates, and then you kind of go into the real estate field where you don't never get beat up, right? And then you go into the VA field where it definitely a little bit. It's got to be challenging at times because. Can you just explain a little bit about the VA company that you've created and how you actually help investors with that?
Absolutely. So REVA Global is the company, obviously it's behind me and we talked about it before, but actually started because of, obviously we talked about the need in the industry, but a little bit about our company. We work with, like I said, we have investors, we have agents, we have property managers and medical side. My wife actually runs medical division side. So the reason why the reason why I started this is because, there's a lot of pain points in our business. When you look at your calendar today and you actually say, oh crap, Monday's coming or Tuesday's coming or Thursday's coming, because you're looking at your calendar and seeing the tasks that you don't want to do, that's a perfect kind of segue to start saying, I have to start outsourcing some things. So that's one of the pain point side of it. The other side of it is, this is a good example I always give. If you're on vacation with your family and you keep looking over at your phone, but your kids want to play with you, you're on the beach and the kids want to play with you, but you're glancing over your phone rings and you're looking at it saying, all right, is that potentially a $30,000 profit? Or is this something that I could flip or something I could buy? And you're really disconnected and you're not present on vacation with your family. That seems to be a very common pain point that we find individuals that actually sign up and work with us and decide, hey, I want to work with a virtual assistant, because you're going to get a lot of different questions on, hey, do I need a virtual assistant? Do I need help? Should I hire in-house? Should I go virtual? There's a lot of different questions that are always asked. And the first thing I would actually say is I would take a step back and look at your business and say, what are my non-income producing tasks? And then write them down on a piece of paper. And on the other side of the piece of paper, write down your income producing tasks, because that will then show you exactly what you should get off your plate and give to a virtual assistant or somebody else.
And I've heard that all before. I get it. But what would you say to that person that's like, man, how do I trust a VA or somebody that's in a different country? You know, maybe there's just some things where I'm just like, I don't know if I want them to see all my leads. Maybe they're going to give them to somebody else, or who knows, like maybe they're going to lose them, or how do I hold them accountable? You know, there's just got to be so many questions that you have to answer from time to time. And I'm sure there's people listening right now that are thinking to themselves, yeah, well, I could never use a VA because I got to have somebody sitting right next to me if I'm going to hire them.
You know, that's a great question. And the way I address it is our world, no matter what right now, it is global. It's going this way. You know, you have a lot of people that are leaving the city, big companies, right? Are leaving the city. They're making them work from home. So we, no matter what, have to learn how to work with each other when someone's not sitting right next to us. So it's out of necessity, no matter what, that we have to start doing that. So I would recommend that no matter what, if you want to test it working with, let's say, contractors, get on Zoom, talk to contractors on Zoom if you don't want to meet them in person. You know, here we're, like I said, I'm in Connecticut, and we're a state that's still kind of on shutdown or lockdown, right? Where you guys are more open, right? We're still on phase. I don't even know what phase we are, but it's a lower phase where you guys are out and about. So we have no choice but to do, you know, cold calling. We have no choice but to do text messaging and do more, you know, over the phone kind of sales stuff. So we're getting a lot of that done right now. So out of necessity, we had to actually make that shift. So I think it's going to be more and more the norm that's coming up. So and if you want to address different things like, you know, are my leads safe? The answer is yeah. You have a one-on-one dedicated virtual assistant, and we don't pair anybody up that's in the same market. So if you're going to work with a virtual assistant and it's a part-time virtual assistant, we wouldn't pair up that same virtual assistant with anybody in your market. So that's just one of the ways to address that.
I gotcha. Awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm sure with everything that you've talked about, you kind of gave us your path, but has there been any struggles? Has there been any maybe instances where, you know, you had some pain points along the way? To me, like, it's one of those things that, you know, being a part of a mastermind and believing like in the power of a mastermind, you know, I think you learn so much more from those times of struggle than you do from those times of harvest, so to speak. So, you know, can you just give us one of those times where maybe you had, you know, some kind of an issue, or you had some kind of a major challenge in your life or in your business, and what you kind of learned from that?
Yeah. And I'll reiterate what you just said too about masterminds. I mean, I think I'm part of a number of masterminds, yours included, and you know, masterminds, in my opinion, are a necessity in our business, right? Because you have other investors that are struggling at certain things. Maybe it's hiring at one point, right? You brought up hiring. You're the mastermind coming up. You have someone talking about hiring. That is huge, right? And then the other one, you know, some individuals may have challenges with lead generation, right? What's working next, right? What's working? How do you outsource some of your work? It might be another topic. So all of that combined, you have to be part of a group like you guys have, right? And I'm a huge advocate of joining, you know, different masterminds for that reason. So what was the main question?
Well,
just the biggest struggle,
challenge that you've had to go through and what you learned.
So one of the biggest challenges, and I'll go over a couple different ones on my real estate investing side. You know, there was a time where we were testing a lot of different marketing, right? And we always put a budget out there for, you know, what you're going to spend for marketing every month. And we had a test run of a $5,000 drop inside. It's a small newspaper here. We dropped $5,000, which was an insert in a newspaper. And we didn't get one call.
No, that's
not good. So that was something that, you know, it hit us pretty hard. However, we looked at that as a test. So the takeaway there is for our businesses, you know, we're going to be testing a lot of things. So make sure it's money that you are going to invest in. And if you don't get 100% return on, it's okay. Just know that it's okay, because there's other marketing campaigns that you're going to do. There's a lot of testing in our business. So then that's why, anchoring back to masterminds, that's why it's a great topic for a mastermind, saying, hey, what's working today? What's not working today? So one of those things to overcome at that point was a botched marketing campaign that hurt. I'm going back to 2005 now, right? Mm-hmm. Another one was, and this is probably important, I got caught up in the shiny object syndrome. There was a knockdown rebuild in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I've never built anything, right? So it's not like I'm a builder or I even know about that, but I got sold into it where we lost $150,000 on a knockdown rebuild. We got under contract in Greenwich, Connecticut. We tried to get out of the contract, and we hired an attorney for I think it was $425 an hour. Before you know it, we're at $10,000. So now we're down $160,000. Again, this is back when that was one of the things we had to overcome. I had to work my butt off to recoup that money. I put $75,000 on my home and equity line of credit. My partner put $75,000 on wherever he came up with it. So I had to answer to my wife on how I'm going to get that money back. But I put my foot on the pedal and I worked my ass off to get that money back, and just keep on going. So the takeaway there is don't get caught up in shiny object syndrome kind of deals, because you're always going to be presented with the deal of a lifetime, right? And I quote deal of a lifetime because I'm sure we've all been presented with that. Just do your due diligence, do your homework, ask someone within your mastermind to walk you through or help you out with that deal.
Yeah, if it was easy, we'd all be doing it, right?
That's exactly right.
So two things to learn there. Well, first of all, marketing's always testing, right? Like there's never I think everybody out there thinks that there's this shiny bullet, this silver bullet that like every time you do it, it's going to work every time for marketing. And it just doesn't happen. Marketing is almost like you have to continually change and continually be doing new things. And sometimes the things you do just don't work. And it's really weird and strange because that exact thing that didn't work now may work amazingly in 5 or 10 years. You just don't know. And vice versa. Something that might work amazing today might be a complete dud in 5 years from now. So that's definitely something that I've learned too many times. I think I'm feeling too many pain points for you saying that with the marketing campaigns. But then also the shiny object syndrome, like stay in your lane. If you know how to do something, I think the reason why most people aren't successful enough in businesses, they're not willing to give what they are doing a long enough chance. For instance, I bet you the first year that you started this VA business, it probably wasn't super profitable. You probably had to get the training wheels off. You probably had to get to that point where maybe you can break even, and then you get to that point where it's profitable, and then you can really kind of scale. And now you're probably in that position where you're making it more efficient and trying to really make sure everything's dialed in, and maybe even sellable at some point. But you have to continue on long enough in something, in one, lane in order to be able to have enough momentum, to be able to be successful in anything. I think sometimes we think that success is overnight. And a good success, you'll hear me say it all the time over and over and over again, that, success isn't built in a day. And it's normally the hard choices. It's the decisions that you got to make to say, hey, like we're going to go down this path and we're going to continue down this path. Even though like sometimes it might be the hard path or the narrow path to be able to get there. So I appreciate that. That's great. So why do you do what you do? So you probably, as a hockey player, I mean, I'm not sure how much money you made back then, but most of us get to a point in our life where it's kind of like we have to have another reason why we do it, or we would just go work for somebody else, or we would just make it probably a whole lot easier sometimes for us if we would just simplify everything. But your business isn't that way. I know it's not. You got a lot of employees and a lot of different things going on. Why do you do all that?
It's interesting. And I pretty much take it back to, I got that question asked, and I had to look back to really, look into who you are as a person, who I am as a person. And it comes down to, I love helping people, right? I coach my kids' sports, and with the end result of getting every kid as good as they can be. Same thing in business. I love helping people. I look at their business and say, okay, Bob, here's my challenges. And I love putting, a virtual assistant in place so then they could, whether it's doubling their deals per year, whether it's helping them scale, whether it's helping them be more efficient, or just helping them get their time back, time freedom, because that is one of the things that is extremely important in our lives. I mean, see what's going on now. If I could help somebody be better today than they were yesterday, that is extremely fulfilling for me.
And obviously helping people get their time back is a big way to be able to help people. So, that's great. And we all have different reasons, like some people, I've asked some of the old timers, especially that have been in real estate for 40, 50 years. And I'm like, you have got 200 properties. Why do you need to keep doing? He's like, I'm just a deal junkie. Like I'm addicted to doing deals. So it's almost the same way for you to a certain degree. You're just addicted to helping people. Like you really like to be able to help people. You like to see a problem and you want to solve that problem. And then I can kind of tell you're kind of a process driven person as well. So you're like, okay, if I put a process to this problem, it'll probably help solve the problem over and over and over again and give that person momentum, to be able to continually solve this problem instead of this problem keep coming up. But so that's awesome. Anything else you want to add about why you do what you do there, or you're good there?
Yeah, it's funny. So I did touch upon it a little bit, but looking back, even when I played hockey, I was happier to get an assist than a goal. So if you start looking at helping people and getting that assist to goal, it's the same thing. When I see somebody that has success using our service, that's my high. I love that, because I also do know that if you partner with individuals and you actually put your heart and soul into, how your company is, your customer service, the quality that you offer, the training that you offer, it's going to make not only the world better, but it's going to make every individual business better. And I think that's really, really important, because there's too much stuff out there in any industry that they sell something different that they offer. Right. And I have a challenge with that, because obviously like you said, I'm more of an operations guy and a process driven guy. So if I'm going to sit here and talk to individuals, I better fulfill what I'm going to be saying I fulfill. And for me personally, inside, I want to make sure that what I say mirrors what I offer.
Yeah, we actually talked about that at the marketing boot camp at Good Success. I have such a problem with 95% of all marketing out there. It makes me sick, because I can see right through it. I've already seen these companies and I'm like, no, you're not going to give the person that. No, they're not going to end up with that. And, as a Christian, I can't do that. I have such a struggle and a fight of marketing something that somebody's not going to get. And honestly, financially, I know that hurts me. I know that, I'm not selling things that I probably would have sold, but at the end of the day, I know I can put my head on my pillow every night and say, hey, guess what? I was the right person today, and I did the right thing, and I did it for the right reason. And I'm going to work with the right people, because eventually the right people are going to see that I'm going to fulfill for them. I'm going to give them what they were promised. When I'm taking a loan from a private lender, for instance, I want to take them to worst case scenario first. Like, I want to go over this and I'll be like, just so you know, this could happen, to give you all the reasons why, you might not want to do this deal before I actually say, okay, this is what we're hoping will happen. But I also saw, and I didn't mention this, but I wrote it down when you were talking about it, even in hockey, this was a lesson I learned really young. Even in hockey, you said you'd rather give an assist than actually make the goal. And I was kind of that way in basketball. I would rather place the pick for the guy that would run right by me and shoot the hoop and make the basket than actually make the basket. I'd rather get the rebound and check off and make sure that, because – and I actually had a mentor. He wasn't even really a mentor. He was just a guy in my church, and his daughter was a cheerleader. And he'd come up to me after basketball games, and he'd say, you know what, Tom, you don't score the most amount of points. You're not all tournament team, but you are the most valuable player on the team, because you are the person that's willing to do what nobody else is willing to do. You're the one that is out there hustling. You're the one out there getting the balls, when diving for it if you have to, rebounding if you have to, setting the picks. Everybody else wants to shoot, and everybody else wants to have the reel, placed on them, and ESPN. They think that's who they are. But those people don't exist unless there's other people out there, that are willing to do the things that nobody else is willing to do. Everybody talks about Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan was great. Don't get me wrong. Probably, I still think greatest basketball player that ever lived, but he would never have had those 6 rings if he didn't have Scottie Pippen, if he didn't have those other people that were setting picks, even Dennis Rodman, the freak that he was. Seriously, like, the guy was an animal, but Jordan wouldn't have been able to make all those shots and miss all those shots that he missed and still win if he didn't have those other people on their team. So you can, in business, and that's how it is in business too. The person who has the most value is the person that's willing to do what nobody else is willing to do. And you've talked about it too in your life, you know, driving for dollars. There's not a lot of guys that are out there driving for dollars, and you were willing to even figure out how to clean up cat pee. Guess what? Most investors are like, I ain't touching this house. Well, guess what? That's where value is at in people. You know, a lot of times people don't want to go to certain areas or certain cities. And that's why I'm 100% all in what I thought 5 years ago was maybe one of the worst. And actually, it's been voted the worst place to live in the United States, Gary, Indiana. I'm all in because why? There's the most possible value that can be added to that city than any other city that I could find. And obviously I live here, so it was an easy fit for me because I'm willing to do what nobody else is willing to do. And I hope that people will take that to heart. I'm not saying everybody needs to come to Gary, Indiana, but you should find your own mission and your own purpose. And it's normally not like helping the people that already have it all or helping it's really figuring out how to add that value. And the value is added when you can do something that they couldn't do on their own. And the more you can help them and nobody else is willing to do it, the more you're going to be a success.
And Tom, could I add to that?
Absolutely.
You said something important there, and you know, going back to you playing basketball and setting picks. I think that's important too for, you know, if you're an entrepreneur and you're working this business full time, you are only as good as your team. Because, you know, if you don't have the right title rep, the right attorney, the right real estate agents, the right buyers if you're a wholesaler, the right mortgage brokers or private money lenders, then we're only as good as our team. Mm-hmm. Because you look at it right now, I don't know anybody who's a lone soldier anymore just doing this themselves, because you need people all over to help you. So that's why being a good teammate and not caring about, you know, for me personally, I don't care if anyone knows my name. I want them to know my company name and have the reputation that the company is great. For me personally, I don't care if anyone knows my name, but my company name is very important because I want that to be outlined that yes, they are the best at what they do and they care about people, right? For me personally, again, like I said, I'm more about the name on the front than the name on the back.
But if you think about it, your business is all about helping people being able to do things that nobody else is willing to do. Because, I mean, let's just think about a lot of your VAs for real estate people I know are probably on the acquisition side, right?
Correct.
And where do all the deals happen? You know, we say it over and over again. Deals happen after the first call. They don't all happen on that. And most real estate investors are willing to make the first call, right? But they're not willing to make call 2, call 3, call 4, call 5, call 6, call 7, call 8. You know, I'm not sure where it was, when it was, but I was in a mastermind somewhere and somebody said that 80% of all business happens after call 5. Mm-hmm. But only 20% of businesses are willing to make call 5. So that means 20% of businesses are getting 80% of the business. Why? They're willing to do what nobody else is willing to do.
Yep. And I could add to that too. It's even on the lead generation side. It's scraping leads online that no one else is going to be scraping, right? Because if I had to do that every day, I would do it for 1 week and I would quit.
Or go nuts.
Right? Let's go nuts. Exactly. So those are great things that take off. If you're going to scrape leads on Zillow, you're going to scrape leads on Craigslist, you're going to scrape leads on Facebook Marketplace. You'll do that for 1 week, and then I guarantee that you will stop doing it because you'll realize that it's a $10 an hour task. And if you do $10 an hour tasks, that equates to $10 an hour bank accounts. So as a real estate investor, if we have a $10 an hour bank account, we're struggling. We need help, right? We need to pull ourselves out of those tedious tasks that in essence don't put money in our pocket. They're just busy work, and hand them off to somebody else. Because once you get those leads, then you have to start marketing, you know, different type of marketing channels that are working today for us and our own real estate business that we have our VAs doing: text messaging, cold calling, and also, just like you said, on the follow-up. That is a huge task to pull off of your plate to outsource to a virtual assistant that works extremely well.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. And you know what? You didn't mention this, but I'm going to bring it here because I know that you make such a difference in your employees' lives. And to me, like, I always love to have I love to talk to people that have good culture and that believe that culture is important. But you talked about $10 an hour. And for the average person that lives in the United States, we're like, we think to ourselves, okay, $10 an hour, that's not really that big of a deal, right? But if you don't mind, let's just talk about some of the employees and the amount of money that they make compared to what their other counterparts may make in their countries, and what a difference are you making in their lives, and kind of just give a little bit of the culture of that, because I think it's important to talk about when it comes to REVA Global.
Yep. So our virtual assistants are out of the Philippines. So the beautiful thing about the Philippines, for any of you who've ever worked with individuals out of the Philippines, they are extremely, extremely loving. They're family oriented. Their culture there is one of first family. So for us working with virtual assistants, them working with each of us and you, it's that they look at your business as their business. So like I said, by nature, they're loving. They value education. So all of our virtual assistants as well have a 4-year college degree. So to have someone here in the United States with a 4-year college degree, for me here in Connecticut, I think the national average is you have to pay someone $48,000 a year for a recent college graduate here in the United States. Over there, you're paying someone about $18,000 a year. That is a 4-year college graduate. So for them, for the cost of living over there, that's a very, very good living. So we offer our virtual assistants as a company. We also pay for their insurance, which is another added benefit. We offer certain types of loans, certain types of grants as well. So we really, really, really help our virtual assistants in their own lives. We also offer them ongoing training that we put them through. So if we have a client that is doing cold calling, but they want to add in, let's say, Craigslist, Zillow, and Facebook, we put them through different types of training and how to actually drive leads and make them more valuable for their clients.
Yeah, that's awesome. So really, like, one of my statements that I've picked up over the years, and I want to live my life. If you ask me, hey, what do you want on your tombstone? This is one of the statements I want on my tombstone: is be a conduit, not a bucket. And like, that's basically what he just described. He's got people in the United States that they have a bunch of these tasks they don't want to do. And they think to themselves, if I get somebody and pay somebody $10 an hour to do these tasks, that this would be great. This would be a great deal for me. And for us, we think, oh, $10 an hour, that's entry level. But in another country, that's 4-year college degree. So it's almost like it's a complete win-win for everybody. It's not just a win for the investor, but it's also a win for the person that's actually doing the work on the backside. And those people really do want to work. They don't want to sit at home, and they don't have the unemployment that we have right now, especially in the United States. And you're really doing a good service for those people as well. So it's not a win-lose. It's not anything like that. It is definitely a win-win on both sides. And I love the fact that you're really kind of helping both sides of that equation.
Yeah, and we do some charities just like you. Every year we go over there, we do a charity. Last charity we were fortunate to work with a home for the angels, it was called, and they dealt with abandoned babies. And when individuals with abandoned babies, they took them in. So we were able to, donate not only money and resources, but also some products as well to help them out. So there's a lot of good stuff that we're able to provide for Filipinos.
And it's awesome too. And he probably isn't going to mention this, but they actually have them set up in groups. So like, even though you might be dealing with a VA one-on-one, they still have a manager outside of you that kind of checks up with them to make sure that they're kind of doing what they're supposed to do, but also kind of helps with the culture. And, I mean, even here at our office, one of the biggest things that we missed during quarantine, because I mean, even though most of my businesses were considered essential and we could have kind of went out, I just made everybody work from home for about two months. But one of the biggest things I kept hearing over and over and over again is we don't have that same culture. We have a WhatsApp group. We keep talking all day long in there to kind of have that. But that was like the biggest thing that we kind of missed from having that. But they do have that culture, and it's really good. So what exciting project or promotion maybe you might have going on right now with REVA Global? Just let us know, what we can do, and or do you have anything new, coming up that you'd like our audience to know about?
Yeah, we're always working we do a lot of white labeling. So again, like I said, it's more about the name on the front than the name in the back, right? So a lot of times we do a lot of behind the scenes white labeling with different types of education platforms that want to offer virtual assistant services. So we actually plug in there. One thing we're working on right now is I'm working with Launch Control, which is a text message platform. We created a training to have our remote lead managers, we call them, do the back end work of all the heavy lifting with text messaging. So if you've ever done text messaging, it's the same concept like we talked about before, where the first week you're going to be text messaging back and forth with individuals. You get a list, you upload it into a software, and you're sitting down the whole day, sending out text messages, getting text messages. You got to respond back and forth until it actually turns into a hot lead. And then you pick up the phone and then call them. We have our virtual assistants do all of that heavy lifting. So I'm working with my buddy, the owner of Launch Control, to actually create that product. It's actually just launched this week. So that's something I did want to give a highlight to. Yep.
Cool. So if our audience would like to get in touch with you, let's just say, hey, I'm assuming you guys maybe sit down and talk with people and kind of do some kind of consultation to see what their needs are. What's the best way for our audience to get a hold of you? Is there a phone number, a website, Facebook? Like where would you like to send people for that?
Yeah, you can go to our website. You can email me direct. I'll give you, some of those contact information. My website is www.revaglobal.com, REVA global.com. You can send me an email direct if you have any questions at all. My email is bob@revaglobal.com. You can set up a strategy session with my team if that's something you want to do. I also have a task list if you're interested in giving that out. It's thinkreva.com, so www.thinkreva.com. Check it out. And then I think you can check us out anywhere.
That's awesome. So revaglobal.com, you definitely find out more information there. If you, again, I have seen this task list and it is pretty good. So if you guys want that, just go to thinkreva.com and you can get that free task list. And that task list is really, if you're thinking about hiring a VA, if you ever thought about hiring a VA, or if you think you need more time, right? If you just think you need more time in your day, just seriously, just go get that free task list. And it'll start making your brain think about ooh, maybe I could actually have a VA do this, and it'll really help you start thinking about places where you might never thought about having a VA. And that's actually one of the things that my team talked about after the quarantine and after we kind of started coming back to work. We went through all the good things that happened this quarter and all the blessings that God has given us this quarter. But we also kind of wanted to go through the things that we learned because we've really been through a learning experience in the last 3 or 4 months. And one of the things that kept popping up over and over and over again was, we can do things more virtually. There are things in our business that were probably done better virtually than they were person to person. Now, there was some things that were like, oh crap, we don't want to do that virtually ever again. But there was some things that our team was like, yeah, I could see how we could use another VA doing this. I mean, I think we have 6 or 7 VAs total right now, but we could probably use another 1 or 2 in different areas to be able to help us in certain businesses or in certain, and one of them was property management. We actually only have 1 right now in property management. We probably should have another VA in property management right now. So anyways, that's great. So again, you guys can go to revaglobal.com, or he's giving you guys his email. So bob@revaglobal.com. And then if you guys want to do a strategy session and kind of just talk through how this might work, I'm sure that they've got great programs for you guys there. So thanks again so much for being on, Bob. I really do appreciate your time with us. We ask every single person that comes on the Good Success podcast these 2 questions. And good success for us means a lot. It is important. Just the name, I believe, is very important. I'm sure, like you said, REVA Global is very important to you. But for us, good success, for us, it's about the right kind of success. And, I don't want people to end up, there's lots of people out there that just want to end up at the end of their life with a house on the hill, the pocket full of $100 bills. And to me, that's great. It's awesome. I don't really think it matters. And to me, it doesn't impress me at all. And I'm honestly not even looking to work with people that I'm really looking to help those people that want to make an impact on this world and for eternity. But when you hear good success, what kind of rings in your mind? What does good success mean to you?
It's funny. I think you nailed it when you explained that, but I would say for good success for me, it really starts with setting a goal up front. Right. So whatever that goal is, if it's giving money away to charity, if it's flipping properties, whatever that thing is for you, it starts first with setting a goal, then implementing a plan to get to that goal. Right. And don't stop. I see a lot of people quit before they even, get to step 1. So you have to actually get started, because if you really look at, no matter what, if you're looking to buy and hold and build up your passive income, it takes 1 house to start. So start with that 1 house, because there's a lot of individuals that do very well at wholesaling, but always say, you know what, I want to start building my passive income. And that's all they need to do is literally call a mortgage broker, find out what they need down as a down payment, and then buy that house. That's all it takes. But it's tough to actually take that first step. So I would say, set that goal and then take action towards reaching that goal.
That's awesome. So, and again, there's no wrong answers for any of that. I appreciate that. So basically set a goal and actually complete the goal is, and that's kind of success, if you think about it. So, and don't quit, don't quit along the way until you hit that goal. The last question we have, and again, we ask every single person that comes on the show, this last question, just if you could leave the audience with just one thing, a tip, a piece of advice, maybe something that you've learned through your life, maybe it's a quote, a book, a resource, whatever it is, what would that be?
I would say work on, getting your time back, because time is precious. You're going through this, obviously this quarantine and the stuff that's going on with this virus around the world. Time is something that you will never get back. So work on a plan to get every second of your day back. So I'd be moving towards the time.
That's awesome. So work on getting your time back, because time is precious.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bob, for being on the podcast. I appreciate your time. And that's going to do it for today's episode, guys. I don't really have much else to say. We've hit a lot of nuggets today. I appreciate Bob for being on. If you guys want to get in touch with REVA Global, again, it's revaglobal.com. And if you guys don't have a VA, just like Bob said, when it's talking about going and buying a house, just get one. Just jump in. And if it may not be a perfect experience the first time you do it, you're going to learn that you have to manage the VA a little bit as well, and that you can't expect them just to know everything that's in your head. But I will tell you that it's been a valuable resource for us, and I highly recommend that most business owners, and honestly, if you're not a business owner, I heard one time, Bob, about a guy who somehow became nobody in the office could realize how in the world this guy was only coming into work 2 hours a week, and he was getting all his work done, and everybody was just like, what in the world's going on? Finally, after this guy's had this issue for not issue, but he had been going on and on for this for 5 or 6 years, his boss finally came and talked to him. He ended up getting fired over the whole deal, but he had a VA doing all this work, and he had a whole other job that he was working. So I'm not saying I recommend that necessarily, but I'm just telling you that it's possible. So you can definitely, there are ways to work on getting your time back.
Absolutely.
All right. So again, that's going to do it for today's episode. Remember to be a conduit, not a bucket. Work to have to give. God bless.